Don't you think, Lumi? She didn't leave me space to answer before barreling on. Tell you what, I was just about to take over in here. Why don't you take him up to Grandma's shop and see what she's got fresh from the oven? You two can get caught up. I raised an eyebrow at my mother, who wore a nice pair of black pants with black boots that were far from barn appropriate, and her most expensive wool coat. She wasn't dressed for farm work. She was dressed up, ready to receive the day's first batch of tourists and locals. It was the final visitors' weekend of the season, and likely to be our largest turnout of the year. With a coaxing smile, she opened her arms to me, and I raised an eyebrow. This bag is covered in dust. I just got it down from storage this morning. That's fine, she said, her voice overly cheerful. I don't mind. We would see about that. With an exhale, I hoisted the bag into her arms, taking only a tiny amount of pleasure in knowing how dirty her coat would be when she set it down again. Served her right, trying to maneuver me into a matchmaker scenario on the busiest day of the season. A cloud of dust floated up in the chilly morning air as I brushed my gloved hands together. See you later. Oh, and Vixen Sr. still needs his glycerin suppository. He's been a little backed up lately. My mom just about gagged, and I smiled to myself, turning away to go and meet Sven at the entry of the barn. Sven was handsome and kind, and I knew him pretty well from working at the sanctuary together. He'd been one of the lead farmhands for several years before leaving to pursue a career in the big city, aka the North Pole. We'd all been sad to see him go, but it wasn't a huge surprise. Most of our workers and volunteers cycled through, eventually migrating to the city. The small town of Holiday Haven didn't have as much to offer as far as jobs went. Most of the population worked in the North Pole, at Santa's workshop, or one of the other businesses in the area that supported Santa's operation. Sven was a little taller than me, and nearly twice as wide. Not overweight, necessarily, but solid and strong. His dark hair was cut shorter than I remembered it, but other than that, he looked the same, with kind hazel eyes and a nice smile. What brings you back to Holiday Haven? I asked, as we started walking toward the pasture gate. Kind of taking a beat, I guess, he replied, with a rueful smile. I was working for a small startup company trying to land a contract with Santa, but our proposal was rejected. We ran out of money and had to dissolve the company. So, I'm back here, at least for now, while I figure out my next move. I've got some ideas in the hopper. Oh, I replied. Sorry about the business. That must have been rough. Sven shrugged one of his enormous shoulders. It's all right. My partner and I were starting to butt heads a little as it was, so maybe not getting selected was something of a blessing. I smiled, reminded of Sven's outlook to always find the silver lining. He opened the pasture gate for me, and I went through. The sanctuary was set on over 200 acres of land, most of which was densely packed with trees, set back just a few miles from the fjord. We had snow year-round, though it did let up in the summer a little bit. The sanctuary's main purpose was to serve as a refuge for the reindeer retired from Santa Claus's team, though over time it had become something even bigger. There were now 3 big red barns on the property, each housing over a dozen reindeer. As the sanctuary became more and more of a local hotspot for annual visits, my parents had added new attractions: a small bakery that served holiday treats, a gift shop with local wares and handmade goods, and a visitor center where guests could interact with a select handful of the more social reindeer, including any babies born in the spring. There was also a stall to purchase hot cocoa and reindeer treats, and during this time of the year, it was also the place where some of the residents of Holiday Haven would come to purchase their Christmas trees, wreaths, and strings of garland. This weekend, there would also be a traveling fairy merchant on site. She did amazing things with poinsettia flowers, sprigs of fir, and holly branches, somehow crafting them into artisan bouquets.